Okay, for more on these canals, new canals, I should say, in the global shipping industry, we're joined by Satish Jindel, president of SJ Consulting, specializing in transportation and logistics. Good to see you again. You know, it's awkward because I don't remember a time where we talked so much about the size of canals and all these different projects. Why now? Why this particular year there's so much interest, it seems, in terms of shipping?
Well, you know, what you have is that the shipping industry is such that you got to make these projects plans many years in advance. And if you look at the way the ships are ordered, they ordered them 5-10 years ago for being ready for the market when they need them. And for the canal, with the amount of business activity and import-export going on between US and Asia, they have to plan 5, 10, 15 years in advance, and that's why this project is being initiated now.
I'm certainly no expert at ships, but I get the idea. You want a bigger canal for bigger ships. Are we on the right page on this? So the ships they're building today are so big they don't fit in a lot of the canals. That's why we have this particular project in Nicaragua, right?
That is part of the reason.
And with that, does it make sense? Because I imagine the folks in the Panama Canal, which, by the way, is very close by, they would have thought the same thing when they recently expanded that as well. Well, why didn't we build a bigger canal for the bigger ships? So what's the need for having the big ships go through that canal?
What you have is it's going to require a lot of other changes in the infrastructure, in the US especially, for handling these post-Panamax ships is what you're referring to, that are 16,000, 18,000 TEUs. And those are not as many at the present time, but expectation is that in the next 10 years, as the global trade continues to expand, they're going to put bigger ships into service. And at that point, Panama is going to either have to expand again, or it's going to let those bigger ships go through the new Nicaragua Canal.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because if you look at a map of the world, there's no question that the Panama Canal, if you can go through it, it gets you essentially from Asia to Europe potentially. Right now, if you want to go from Asia to Europe, you have to go either through the Suez Canal or go around to the bottom of Africa and come back up again. I think I know the answer, but is there an advantage of going through the Panama Canal or the Nicaragua Canal versus the other way?
Well, the advantage of going to Europe is not really that much. If you're going from Asia to Europe, Suez Canal is going to be a preferred route. It's more if you're trying to come to US, then Panama is a better option than Suez, no matter where in Asia you're trying to come from.
All right, and obviously if you are going the other way around, for Europe, for example, trying to get to Asia or to, say, the west coast of the United States, they potentially could utilize the Nicaragua Canal or the Panama Canal as well, right?
That is correct.
All right, so we've talked a lot about oil prices, and a big part of the shipping, of course, is the oil that goes into the ships, that moves the ships, and so on. So with oil prices recently coming back down, does it kind of put shipping back on the track as the cheapest or most efficient way to move goods?
It is always the cheaper way, and this even makes it more attractive. And as a reference point, you know, you're talking about bunker fuel, which is priced differently than the barrels. So when you have a barrel costing $45, the bunker fuel for its unit is about $323. So when the price of oil drops and the bunker fuel relatively drops at $100 per unit, that represents $200 million for extra profit for the shipping lines. So bunker fuel is a very big element of pricing the service for the ocean liners, and this makes it even more attractive for them to have more ships floating and competing for cargo.
Hey, there was a thing that they were talking about before, and I'm referring to the fact that ships could potentially someday go through the Arctic Circle on the northern part of the Earth, essentially, and would bypass all these long distances, and it would save a bunch of time. And some people are saying that because a lot of that ice is melting, it's creating some very unique waterways. I just want to know if this is all true.
I think it is a far-fetched idea because of the uncertainty and a lot of other elements that are very different about it. I don't see that being a viable option for at least next 15, 20 years.
Okay, and very quickly, you talk about security. It's well known that a lot of ships try to avoid or are very careful when they talk about the east coast of Africa, and I'm wondering, does this project, at least in part, help alleviate some of those challenges?
I don't think the project elevates, because when you look at the number of ships that were affected by pirating around Africa, it used to be 209, 220 in 2009, 2010. Then it dropped to 44 in 2013. And last year, they only had 10 of them. So I don't think this project is justified on the basis of pirating.
All right. Satish, thank you very much. Good to see you again. Thank you again on our talk of shipping.